welcome to the match report hosted by Free in Midfield. Cahill, Kojo, got it wrong. Got it right this time. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, all good, man. Season's over, so I'm happy. How you doing?
I wish I could feel that way, but I'm still a bit mad. But it is what it is. We are here to talk about, obviously, a whole bunch of stuff. But first, we got Steve. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, mate. And for me, the season's not over for obvious reasons. So there's another 24 hours or so of nerves that are to follow, and then possibly on Sunday on the streets with 600,000 other Liverpool fans, mate, letting it be known that we had a good season. So yeah, there's a bit to do for us, mate. Bit to do for me in terms of getting over it. But yeah, all good. Thanks for having me on, guys, as ever.
Always welcome, Steve. Always welcome. But we are here to discuss team of the season, goal of the season, and preview the upcoming game on Saturday. Now, I'm going to try and sort out my microphone whilst Kojo takes over this.
What are you trying to do? Ah, your mic. Okay. I think my mic's messing up as well, to be honest. What's going on here? Hello? Okay.
Yeah, you're all good, mate. You're all good.
There we go. All right. So, where should we begin, Steve? Should we start with manager or player?
Let's get the manager out of the way. The guy at the top of the tree, the guy that makes the difference, the guy that, well, this topic has been quite hot debate, hasn't it, really, in the last week or so on social media because of who was given the awards. Not that I'm complaining, but it's certainly a conversation we need to have, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, so the winner in the Premier League was Jurgen Klopp. Now, Steve, with all honesty, did you think he was the deserving winner, and your reason so or not?
Right. I think there's an different way to answer that because that's a bit more to it than that. Is he undeserving? No, because I sat through a number of different streams during the course of last season where people said Liverpool have finished. We won't get anywhere near it. You look at that big list that the pundits did, the top four, and I think Liverpool made the top three, and only two of those people said that. So is he undeserving? No, we've bounced back really well. We chased down 14-point lead to Manchester City. We were within 30 minutes of potentially setting up a quadruple. So I can see reason for the merit to give it to him. If I'm being honest, there's another standout candidate in the league that we're not talking about a trophy winner. I'm talking about Patrick Vieira, who I probably had down as top of the sack race. For me, I just couldn't see it working. I think I said as much on here. So for Patrick Vieira to do what he's done, really well done to him. I think he's definitely a candidate. The reason I haven't said Guardiola is because all three of us and everybody you've had on this stream for the last however many years you've been doing this would have had Guardiola down as a title winner this season. So it's not like climbing Everest and planting your flag because you're the first one to do it. It's what was expected. So taking nothing away from City's achievement, they're worthy champions, league tables don't lie. But everyone to a man would have expected anyone who was going to nick it, take the league off Manchester City, would have to finish above them. So I think it's become the norm, which is a massive compliment to what he's doing there, to be honest with you, rather than anything else. And then the one more name I'd like to throw in the ring is Graham Potter, who's done a really, really good job at Brighton, has got a really, really great footballing philosophy, but we shouldn't forget, Brighton didn't win a home game for 3 months. So I don't know how you can have a guy that comes out as manager of the year that, whilst everything he does is really good, the results don't back up the philosophy. And that's down to the playing staff. If you took that to, dare I say, at your club, Cahill, you might have a slightly different scenario because you do have technically better players, or some technically better players. And I didn't say that to take the piss, by the way. Much.
It felt like it. It felt like it. So I'll take it. No. I feel like it's kind of harsh to dismiss Guardiola based on the fact that everybody expected him to win the league. He did win the league. He did get circa 90 points. Again, so I think it's a fantastic achievement. But a name that I myself am surprised I'm going to mention, Eddie Howe. I mean, when he came to Newcastle, I definitely wasn't as big as him. I thought that he was going to be the manager that was. Well, I thought Newcastle. I thought he was going to get sacked again, and they were finished. They were, but I don't know how many games they were. But to go from, I think it was 20th dead bottom to 9th or 11th in the table. They were teetering on top 10, well, on a top 10 finish as well. So he's done a fantastic job there. You have to give him credit considering where Newcastle were and how much they were pretty much destined to relegated. So I have to give him props. So that's really my pick for manager of the season. Kojo?
Yeah, that's fair play. Sorry. It's a tough one for me because obviously I'm trying to avoid the obvious top two. But yeah, I think you guys have mentioned what's his name? Vieira. You mentioned Eddie Howe. Those would be the guys I think that as well. Especially Vieira, because at Palace he joined a club that had lost a lot of the experienced players in the summer. And he had to stick to his philosophy, find some young players, and bring through a new system for them. And it's a style that Palace don't play. Zaha said at the beginning of the season where he said, we're so used to playing counter-attacking, defensive style football. Whereas with this manager, we're looking to dominate the ball, we're looking to press forward, we're looking to attack. You know, I think Vieira deserves huge props for that. And not once did he shy away from his philosophy. He brought in Gallagher on loan beautifully. He brought in Mark Gay, has had an excellent season. Mitchell, excellent season. Edouard kind of slowed down, but he played his part here and there as well. So everyone feels like they've got a role to play in that. Elise, Eze, Olise, rather, I said Olise, Eze. Great team. So, yeah, I think I'd stick with Vieira as well.
Okay.
I mean, guys, we've got to come to some sort of agreement here. So, I mean, it is 2-1 to Patrick Vieira, I would say. So,
well, it is and it isn't, because I'm obviously not going to go against my guy because I think he's done. You would you? But for the benefit of the show, I'll be as impartial as I can be. I think all things being equal, I would be quite happy to say, realistically, I expected Liverpool to challenge, even though everybody else didn't.
yeah.
Patrick Vieira's done really, really good things, and I think Arsenal would be wrong not to be looking in Patrick Vieira's direction at some point in the future if this carries on. So, because I expected Liverpool to challenge, I would be comfortable to buck the trend, and Patrick Vieira would be my next choice. So I'd be quite happy to say him because I think he's done really, really, really well. Palace horrible to play against.
They are very much. I mean, with Liverpool, though, it's more. I think it was more hope from rival fans that these injury-prone defenders, Konate, Van Dijk, would end up picking up injuries, and your season would be derailed. So I don't think if you looked at it unbiasedly, I guess. Yeah. Liverpool were always going to be up there, always going to challenge potentially. Once again, it all depended on injuries, and your team just didn't get injured. So that's why I'd say that Klopp shouldn't be there. But Vieira is. Vieira, Kojo? There you go. That's the manager of the season. 3 times manager of the season. Well done. There we go. Had to get through one. This is really annoying me, the echo.
Yeah, the microphone, what is going on to me today? The echo is insane. Hold on. Might be from my side. Okay. How's that, guys?
It's fine. It is what it is, man.
Okay.
Is it me? Is it me?
No, you're fine, actually.
Okay.
You're perfect. I think it's just us two that's right now, but it is what it is. All right. So, manager of the season, Patrick Vieira. Should we go to the player of the season now before we do young player? Okay, so player of the season from the Premier League, if I'm right, was Kevin De Bruyne.
Mm-hmm.
Are we happy personally with that choice?
See, I think they should change the way they do this, and I think they should be split up over the 9 months of the season, and it should be a collective vote month by month. Because not to take anything away from the special footballer, you go to vote and you go, yeah, Kevin De Bruyne was brilliant against us last week, and he was boss on Match of the Day on Saturday. I'm going to go with Kevin De Bruyne because it's recency bias as opposed to looking at something over a longer period of time. So I think if you added up who got the most votes each month by month by month by month, you're looking at someone who's consistently good throughout the season, and it might not be the top people that you expect it to be because they're the guys that get the media coverage. So you might be surprised by your results. I could make an equal case for the first half of the season. Mo Salah was pretty much untouchable. In the second half of the season, when it's counted, Kevin De Bruyne has stepped up to the plate and delivered, and you can't deny the fact that he almost single-handedly at times dragged Manchester City over the finish line. So I can make a case for two halves of the season, like a football match, first half, second half. So he's a special footballer. He really is. And because they won the title, I think that's probably swayed it a little bit. I think I know the award was given before they won the title, but I don't think anybody expected Manchester City to cave in and Liverpool pinch the title off them on the last day of the season, although it really came to pass. But first 3 months of the season, he was anonymous. He did not play well at all in the first 3 months of the season. De Bruyne and even the City fans were saying, "What's wrong with him?" So it's difficult for me. But then I can say in the second half of the season, Mo Salah disappeared to some degree. Whilst he still contributed, he didn't score goals like he did before. So I think because he won the title and because of his impact in winning the title, I'm not massively upset by De Bruyne getting the nod.
Okay.
Phil? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
You can? All right, cool. The echo's good. Maybe unplugging the mixer works somehow. I don't want to say this because I feel like I'll need a shower after.
Son?
But Heung-min Son.
Ooh.
Is he?
I mean, he's not a terrible shout because when you're talking about what Steve said about the whole season, I was very critical of him being like purple patch footballer, where he, I don't doubt his quality. We obviously know he's a fantastic footballer, but it's the consistency. But this season he's found his consistency. He's been very good. So what are you saying?
It's an interesting one.
A Tottenham player.
Nuno Espirito Santo, however you say his name. Again, he wasn't great then either. But since Christmas, since Conte's really since the time when Conte come out the interview saying, I don't actually know if we can do this. I don't know whether I can do this. I don't know where we go from here. That was kind of a watershed moment in Spurs' season for me. And everybody seemed to go, wow, he's going to walk away. I know I thought that. And the players must have gone, right, seriously, man, we're going to end up with, Rafa Benitez if we're not careful. So we need to sort ourselves out. So they redoubled their efforts. And I think Son's a really good shout. And wow, that's a proper, obvious, but a really, really good curveball to throw into the mix there, KO. I'm really talking. Yeah, he's definitely in the conversation, isn't he?
One of those things. I don't think he played particularly poorly at the very beginning under Nuno. I remember him scoring the goal against Manchester City that got them the first. I think that was opening game as well, wasn't it? So I think he played decently, but like you said, once Conte came in and once he said what he had to say, they've really kicked on. But then again, it's up and down here because, like you said, KDB was great for second half. Salah fantastic second. I think Son is more balanced. I think he had a more consistent run. Maybe a few months more consistent run. He's definitely been Tottenham's best player. I think Harry Kane at the very beginning of the season was an absolute disgrace. He's found his shame, and he unfortunately found his That's one of the reasons why Spurs are in the Champions League next season. But I think Son's gone being an underrated and underappreciated hero for Tottenham, considering that Harry Kane has always got all the plaudits. So even though it pains me, I'm going to give him my vote because I think he's the reason why Spurs are in the Champions League next season.
It's hard to argue that.
It is.
It's very hard to argue that. You know what? Okay. I agree, but I'm going to put one out there because I feel like he deserves a shout as well.
Bruno Fernandes.
Oh, please. I'm going to put Bruno Guimaraes in there instead. Joel Matip. So, hit me up. Obviously, last season, Van Dijk.
So I do a rival, and you have to do the rival. Is that how it works? Yeah.
Unfortunately for me, right now, I have no one to think of in my team. So, because I was thinking like, I was having this discussion at work, and they were saying, "What we shout Ronaldo because he scored goals in a very, very terrible team." I'm like, yeah, he has, but I don't think he's had a better season than, like you say, Son and this one. With Matip, you know, Van Dijk was injured last season. Liverpool didn't have the best of years last season, and Van Dijk come back, and obviously the idea would be like people say, as soon as he's come back, the defense is found itself again, you know, and they've conceded not many goals. But Matip has been fantastic this season. And I feel like he's had a better year than Van Dijk. That's not saying he's better defender, because that's what people take that for now. What it means is this season alone, I think he's elevated his game. And he's become almost undeniable. It's one of those ones where I feel like at this point, in games where Van Dijk hasn't played this season for Liverpool, they haven't worried because Matip has stepped up. Obviously, he didn't have Konate in it, but I'm not taking that away from him. He's been fantastic this year. I think this year, the whole season, it's not consistency. I think the lowest level of performance he's dropped this season is a 7, which is saying a lot for a player. I mean, I don't know how Steve feels about it, because I'm not saying he's my player of the year. I agree with the Sun shout, as you've sold it to me very well, but I can't not give Matip his flowers. The guy has been brilliant this year. He's been one hell of a rock. So I don't know how Steve feels about that.
What a shout out that is. You're right. He has been absolutely tremendous. And amongst the circle of Liverpool fans, we're actually saying to each other, has he been better than Van Dijk this year in terms of, because for the first 3 months, Van Dijk nursed himself back into the season off the back of obviously a well-documented injury. And there's the psychological hump to get over when you do something like that, because you've got to convince yourself that everything's okay. And when you go to ground in a really heavy challenge and you look at your knee and it's still there, it takes a few of them to think, actually, I'm okay and I can carry on doing this. But Matip hit the ground running really early on, and he's been tremendous. He's scored 3 goals, which is unheard of for Matip from centre-back. He's normally a 1-goal-a-season player. And he's been pivotal in the development of Konate as well, in terms of working alongside Van Dijk. So it's definitely a shout out. It's kind of an honourable mention for me rather than a genuine contender. And it's a really good shout, Kojo. He's been tremendous. What I would say is he's not guaranteed to start tomorrow night. And we'll get onto that a bit later. So for that reason, I kind of just stopped short of saying, yeah, throw his name in the mix. And you sold me, Cahill. You sold me. I don't think you can look beyond Son. Spurs have come from nowhere to Champions League, and he's been absolutely crucial for that experience, that journey. 23 goals. I'm not going to go down the no penalties route, because a goal's a goal, whether it's a penalty, if it goes off the back of your head or whatever.
Thank you.
That's clutching at straws, saying that. If he wants to take penalties, I'm sure they'd let him. If Kane wasn't playing, for instance. So goal's a goal. You know, if he took all Harry Kane's penalties away from him, he'd be nowhere near the guy that everyone thinks is going to catch Alan Shearer. So Spurs fans need to be careful when they throw that one out there. Son. My vote goes to Son. I think he did a good job of summing that up.
I feel like if you talk about defenders for player of the season, you have to have a Van Dijk-esque type of season for it to be considered like legitimate. So on that basis, I don't think you can give it to Matt. But I'm still in Son. So it's Son for me, Son for Steve. Kojo, we need it unanimous.
Yep, I agree. I'll stick with Son as player of the season. Yeah.
Player of the season is Son. Mixes of the season is ours. Ours is happening right now. This audio is it's killing me. Killing me. But we have to push through. Young player of the season. Who are the options?
Young player. So, who won it again? Foden. Right. Okay. Firstly, what is the age barrier for this? Because I feel like
24.
Was that
Officially, 20. Officially, it's 24.
Officially,
I
it's
think
stupid.
that's
But cool.
I think
because
that's.
I think they do that. Yeah, because I think they did that after them off. Well, they've done it for a while. Under 23s, right? And that's what I think that's what they've based it on. Am I right? Saying that?
Well, my understanding is you could be 24 in the calendar year and you're entitled to be included in it. But I think that's wrong. I think we need to dial it back a bit and go young player of the year, you know?
Yeah. Kel, you start first then. Because I feel like I know who you're going for, and I think it would be right.
I know who's going for too.
Why do you think I'm so predictable here? It's like, come on, guys. I just
prove us wrong then.
What's that?
Prove me wrong then.
I threw the Son curveball. I could go another Spurs player. I could go a Liverpool player. I could go a Chelsea player. I'm not going to player. Bukayo Saka is obviously the young player of the season. I mean, if not for him, Arsenal would be anywhere near the top 4 race because he has been a consistent rock up until the final few games when it really mattered. But then again, if you play him week in, week out, not give him a rest, of course he's going to burn out. He's 19 years of age. It was inevitable. Maybe if Arteta played Pepe here and there, who knows, eh? But no, Bukayo Saka, just a fantastic player for Arsenal. He's really led the line. I think is it 20 goal contribution, goals and assists this season in his second full season as a professional. Can't put it past him. He's been absolutely brilliant for Arsenal.
Yes, I can't disagree with that. I think he's done so well, and I think that's improved is his end product. And I'm talking about finishing as well, because his finishing was very, very hit and miss. But yeah, he's had a stellar year. It's a shame. I can't lie, for him, not for Arsenal, in my opinion. It's a shame for him that he's not going to be in the Champions League next year, because I feel that would have been a nice showcase for him to showcase his talents as well. No matter how far Arsenal go or not go, I mean, he's a talent. So yeah, it's a shame. And it's crazy because obviously I think a lot of fans try to put pressure on him. He's one of Arsenal's key players already. So it's like, oh, why didn't he step up when Arsenal needed him? It's like, well, maybe he's not ready for that yet. And that's okay. That's not a terrible thing. You know. So yeah, I think Saka as well.
Can't disagree. I mean, there's obvious shouts like Phil Foden and Trent Alexander-Arnold who come in that threshold. But the realism with those guys is that they're in the conversation for the player of the year in terms of what they put out, in terms of numbers and what they've achieved. So I don't think you can disagree. I think if you're looking at young, raw talent that's had a really good season, that's kind of stepped up to the plate and excites everybody, I think your man's the man for me. I think, how can you have Phil Foden, who's there and really he should be alongside De Bruyne as one of Manchester City's key players. We don't think of him as a kid anymore, do we? We don't think of Trent Alexander as a kid anymore, but we do look at Saka and think, wow, there's a young man that's double point here. Really, really important is how disappointed and how low must he have been after the England experience. His come back and deliver the season like that, which says a lot about the minerals of the guy in terms of being able to step up. And do you know what? You probably not going to like this, but also says a lot about how he's been managed by his manager, because that's a difficult job to bring a player back into the fold that's got that millstone around his neck. And if he's not Arsenal's player of the year, something wrong there. Yeah, I can't look any further than him. I really can't.
I think that's an easy shout. But to ask a question, has Foden been that good this season, or is it because we're still mesmerized by his talent?
The standards are very high. Yeah, I get what you're saying. But if we were talking about him as a youngster, an up-and-coming youngster, you would be saying the standards have been that good for an up-and-coming youngster that's mentally finding his way in the hardest leagues, playing in world football and contributing to a championship-winning side. Yep. But he's been doing that for 3 years now, so I don't look at him as a kid anymore. He's a fully-fledged professional now. So I'm going to start the voting, and it's a Saka for me.
Another unanimous decision. It's easy when we like this. I changed my microphone. Is the echo still there?
A little bit. I feel like mine's there as well. When I speak, can you hear me echo?
No, you're not echoing, mate. Not for me, anyway.
So it's just on my side. KO, I don't think. I think it's fine. So I think we just continue. Let's keep going.
I know. It's just annoying me. It really annoys me. It's never happened like this. I don't know why he decided at the end of the season to stop messing about. But it is what it is, man. Team of the season now.
Okay.
I guess that's where we're going. So we shall start from the back. 3 in midfield, of course. 4 at the back, 3 up top. And number 7 is already it's perfect already. I like that, Coach. I like that. But
Thank you.
Maybe I'm jumping the shark a bit, mate. Just a tiny bit. Anyway, we'll start and goal.
Who can go?
Oh, this is mine. So we're doing our.
I mean, who's your start goalkeeper?
Man would be Alisson. Golden Glove winner, and his one-on-one saves are incredible. He's had a really strong season. So,
Alisson, Kale
for goalkeeper. Yeah,
Alisson, perfect. Then Alisson is there. He is going to be. I'm very traditional. I like my number 5 and number 6 at centre back, number 3 at left back, and number 2 at right back. I'm not used to the 66s and orders just yet. There we go. All right, Alisson is indeed in goal, as you see his name over there. Now the centre backs.
I mean, considering you mentioned it before, I say we're going Joe Matip as one of the options for centre back.
Well, I was going to say my personal 2 would be Matip and Rudiger.
And who?
Antonio Rudiger.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
But what are we saying? Steve?
I think if we're going to go with Matip, and I think that's a good shout. I think there's 3 people that we can put in the mix. You still have to include Virgil van Dijk in the conversation. 4 people. You still have to include one of the Manchester City centre backs, whether it be Diaz or Laporte. And you have to look at Romero at Tottenham as well for the way he's coming to the side.
Yes, of course. Wait, Kel, why did you
Sorry, mate, but you do.
I've already done my part for Tottenham. I'm not just doing it again.
Jeez. So Rudiger's really good, but Rudiger really annoys me because he's really rash. He's actually always looking for a fight, and I think he's dangerous. Mm-hmm. Absolute lunatic. So I can't take to him for that reason. Did you see the way he celebrated the goal earlier on this season away from the rest of the Chelsea fans? It was like the men in the white coats needed to come and take him away. It was absolutely bizarre what he did. But Real Madrid don't come knocking and give you 400 grand a week if you're rubbish, do they? So
exactly.
Cool. You know what? Matip is one for me. for sure. And I'll let you guys decide the other one, because I'm not going to put my name on Antonio Rudiger. I'll let you two do that.
I mean, you mentioned the Manchester City two defenders there, but honestly, I don't think they've been particularly great this season. I mean, obviously, Ruben, if I was going to choose out the two, it'd be Ruben Diaz, but he's made a few mistakes here and there. As Laporte's never been that consistent. Is John Stones featured? Nathan Ake featured? There's a lot of injuries in that centre back, so which is led to me not thinking they've been that consistent as a defensive partnership. Plus, the way the debut season Ruben Diaz has was so amazing that maybe my standards for him are a bit too high. So I'm not quite sure.
Okay, that's a good shout.
But then again, I would say that's the same argument because he also came back from a career-ending injury. So I'm going to go Van Dijk again because I just can't put the City defenders in for me because they were far too inconsistent.
Is it crazy for me to say that I feel like Rudiger may have had a slightly better year than Van Dijk, or maybe that's because the highlight was on him a bit much?
I think you can't not look at the fact that both City and Liverpool only conceded 26 goals, and a lot of that comes down to the goalkeeper, but it also comes down to what's in front of them. And Chelsea won 4 league games since the turn of the year.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at that thinking, did they concede goals unnecessarily to not win games? And you'd have to say yes. And I know that what's going on in the background behind the club would turn anybody's head. And anyone that tells you that it didn't bother the players, I don't agree with that. It absolutely did bother the players. With what's going on with the club. So Van Dijk's a great shout. Van Dijk does what Van Dijk does. And the reason why he doesn't get spoken about is because he just does it every week. And it's like it's not unusual for him to play that well. And you watch, I don't know if you've seen the Rio Ferdinand thing on BT Sport where he's talking to Van Dijk and he shows him a clip where he isolated Lautaro Martinez and he just gave up and kicked the ball away and thought, I'm not bothering because it's Van Dijk. Do you know how good you have to be to get to that stage in your career and do it this season? So I wouldn't be against Van Dijk as a shout out. He's the best defender I've ever seen, and that's a conversation for another day. But the guy doesn't have a weakness.
Well, I think it's a 2-1, so we'll run with that. So yeah, Matip and Van Dijk.
I can't believe you passed that, Jojo. That defender comment, best he's ever seen. Come on,
because
not right now.
Yeah, not right now. It's just not right now. It's not the time.
I just wanted to mention it so it gets bubbling. You know, it gets bubbling.
Listen, the season's finished. We're gonna do a lot more podcasts like this. When it comes to that time, I will call Steve and say, Steve, you are needed for this podcast.
And I will say, I will come to that podcast as long as we don't talk about Nemanja Vidic as one of the in that conversation, because on the high line he's been sent off God knows how many times against Liverpool. Ferdinand is in the conversation, but for me Vidic isn't. We targeted Vidic, mate.
Oh yeah, I know, because Rafinha was also very, very great. It's like who you target, Terry or Carvalho. You have to go for one, but that's just me.
We need to do this. We so need to do this.
Absolutely, I'm very ready for this. All right. Okay, so we go to the fullbacks now. Right back, I feel like it's an easy one. Or is it?
Go on, tell me your
I feel, it's between two for me. So it's between Reece James and Trent.
So what are you looking for? What are you looking for to make a decision?
I don't know, because I'm not a statistics guy. But people have made the point that they both have the same sort of like goal and assist contributions. I think Trent has more assists. Reece has more goals. Depends what you're looking for. But Chelsea, have not had a great season. And Trent, not Trent, Reece. I mean, it's not fair, but at the same time, I can't really argue that he's been injured for about 3 months of the season. So through no fault of his own, I can't call him a whole season informed player because he missed a big chunk of it. Again, he was injured, unfortunately. But other than him, I can only go Trent. I don't know who else, unless I'm forgetting somebody. I can't think of anybody else.
I think it's also worth mentioning that one plays in the back four and one plays in the back five. That makes the job of getting up and down that wing infinitely easier if you're playing in a five because you've got a third centre back covering you. And I think Chelsea's pragmatic style with defensive-minded midfielders is probably the reason why he's got more goals because he knows you can relax when he's further up the pitch and there's no holes left behind him. I think if he played the whole season, he'd be very much in the conversation because he's a very, very, very good footballer. I've said this loads of times, boys, that when the club sits and talks to Trent about his seasonal targets, he doesn't get dug out or criticised when we concede down that side of our defence because that's not his job. He's only a right back for the purposes of the team sheet. He's our risk maker. He's the playmaker in the side. So if we concede, it's Henderson and Matip that get dug out by the manager at training the following day. It's not on Trent Alexander-Arnold, but he has improved his defensive play this season. We saw that in the FA Cup final when he made several really last-ditch clearances when Chelsea had their moments of pressure. He's inside to create. He's inside to challenge Kevin De Bruyne for assists and Bruno Fernandes, a good Bruno Fernandes, for assists, not to be measured for what he does going backwards towards his own goal. And that's the reality of it. Is it not revolutionised, because I don't like that word, but we don't play with fullbacks in the same way that the world expects us to. They're only fullbacks. We often have a back two and play so high up the pitch. We're like, well, we're quicker than you. Knock the ball over the top. We'll catch you, or VAR will. So I can't disagree with you, Kojo. I think if James plays the whole season, then this is a difficult conversation. But as he didn't, and again, because Chelsea fell away and got to 2 finals and didn't come away with any silver, it's hard for me to put him in there.
Kill?
Yeah, it's Trent for me, just based on the fact that Reece James didn't have a full season. It was a half a season. And he was fantastic for that half of the season. But it's player of the year, not player of half the year. So it's going to go to Trent for me.
Trent Alexander Arnold, it is. I do TAA. I think everybody will know who that is. Left back.
Oh, God.
Oh, why are you looking stressed?
Because I love Andy Robbo, but he isn't going to get it.
No, he's not.
No, he's not.
He's had a good season too, but he's not going to get it, is he?
Who are you thinking then?
I can't look further than if it's not Andy Robbo, it's Cancelo all day long, mate. From left back, certainly prior to Walker's injury, similar to what I've just said about Trent, he's not playing as an orthodox left back. He's so involved in play further up the pitch, and he's very, very good at it. So, I think Andy Robbo's slightly underrated by the rest of football, but I think Cancelo's had a storming season. So, as soon as this came up, I was like, I'm not going to give it to my boy, but I get it, I understand it, and I don't have an issue with it because Cancelo from left back is a force. He's a special player.
Gail, I see you nodding straight away.
Yeah, it's Cancelo. He's a right back, you know.
Yeah.
He's a right back.
He's an inverted left back. He's an inverted left back now. Now we're getting technical.
Exactly.
I still remember the podcast we did after his time with City, during the transfer window, and we were fuming at the fact that Juventus thought it was a very good idea to swap Cancelo for Danilo.
Oh yeah.
And 40 million quid.
And 40 million quid. Honestly,
that's the clincher.
Yeah. When you're talking about poor deals, Juventus, they lead the line with that. That's an absolute nonsense. But Cancelo completes it. So far, we've got 4 Liverpool players and 1 City player.
I know, right?
Okay. So now we come to the defensive midfield. Now, this one here. Who is the number 4 that's taking the spot? Kill. What are you thinking?
I'm gonna go Rodri.
Rodri? Okay.
I think he's had a solid season at the number 6 role. When you need the guy, he's been solid. I mean, obviously recycling possession, breaking up play, and getting just goals out of nowhere. And they've always been bangers. They're always like from 25 yards. It's like nobody expected that from him. Especially considering his start to the career. It didn't exactly pull up any trees, but he's taken a year. When used to that Pep system, he's absolutely flourished. And he was in the back of my mind for the play of the season because I think he's been that great this year. So it's Rodri for me.
Steve.
We've got a good 6 as well, haven't we, at Liverpool? So again, it's the usual suspects. I think Fabinho's had a great season as well. Interesting on the Rodri thing. I think a lot of Ruben Diaz's impact came down to the fact that City finally settled on a number 6 week in, week out, sat in front of their back 4, and it was Rodri. And I thought he gave so much balance to that team, whereas Fernandinho was starting to pull people down and get stupid yellow cards because of a lack of mobility because of his age. Rodri changed all that. I can't argue with much of the points that KO makes, but I've seen Liverpool without Fabinho, and I know how important he is to Liverpool, and I know that the fans at the moment, leading up to the game at the weekend, are saying, "Is he fit? Is he fit? Is Fabinho fit? Will he play the 6?" So I'm gonna do a cowards thing, and I'm gonna call for my guy, and I'm gonna let you decide, Kojo, between the 2. And I know where you're going, so at least when the Liverpool fans watch this, they won't be coming to me, digging me out, saying, "What did you do that for?"
You know what, funnily enough, Rodri wasn't my shout, but then Kel does make fair point. I will be happy to put Rodri in there if in one of the 2 midfield positions, one of them is given to Declan Rice.
I knew that was coming.
If Declan Rice is left in one of those spots, I'm very happy for Rodri to be the DM.
I can only give him that position. That for me is the only spot he'd be in contention for. In more advanced midfield roles, Declan Rice doesn't get near it for me.
This is where my problem is, because he's slightly improved going forward, but he's not good going forward. But he's an engine. He tackles well. He passes the ball cleanly now, but going forward, he's still missing that something. And I think he's trying to become a box-to-box midfielder. But I feel like his best role in the midfield, position, defensive midfield, and in terms of role, like an anchor man, a ball winner, you know. That's what I feel like. But I feel like I need him in this team because when I feel like I think about midfielders, you know what, with this, we'll put Rodri in. Put Rodri in. If we can't think of midfielders, what I want to do is this: put Rodri here, put Declan Rice here, and then put someone else here.
Can't be doing that. That's the most negative team selection since Chelsea came to Anfield and went a man down.
What did you expect them to do if man down against you guys?
Listen, I get it. And kudos to them for doing it. Man, it was one of the best defensive displays I've ever seen at Anfield, but I certainly wouldn't set my team up that way if I had 11 men. And what you're doing there, Kojo, and we know it, it's all trying to shoot on Declan Rice into this team now.
Yeah.
He's great. And in years to come, he will probably be the guy that's there week in, week out, year in, year out. But he's also in the league with 2 of the 3 or 4 best number 6s in the world right now. And his time will come. But he's not better than Rodri and he's not better than Fabinho. For me, he's not. And if you spread it further in the field, he's probably not better than Casemiro either. So it's a situation where does he fit in world football? Never mind the Premier League.
Oh no, he's definitely not better than those. I agree. I'm just thinking about this season alone. It's
a great season, great season. But most of those two guys we've spoken about, Rodri and Fabinho, are linchpins in terms of the sides that both got over 90 points this season and went all the way to the last half an hour, last 20 minutes of the season. And when they're not there, have a ridiculous impact on their team. And I don't know whether you get that so much with Rice at the moment. This idea that someone's going to pay £150 million for him in the summer is absolute madness.
Insane. Okay, so then 2 midfield spots. Now, I struggle with this because I haven't felt excited by midfielder throughout the whole season. Like, I feel like... Oh, actually, no, I don't know. Let's start. Steve? 2 centre midfielders that you think would fit in there.
I'll give you 3 names and a wild card.
Okay.
3 names would be Bernardo Silva, who I hate, but he's an extremely good footballer. Kevin De Bruyne, who's one player of the season, so you can't ignore him. Thiago Alcantara, who when he's not in the Liverpool side, everything changes for us. Cahill, you're not going to like this. Bentancur has done so much in the time he's been at Spurs to help settle their midfield. I think he's a wild card.
He said no.
No.
He's a quality footballer. He's a quality footballer.
Have you honestly? You think Bentancur is one of the reasons?
He's absolutely superb, mate.
I don't think he's done that much. He might have settled, but you're delving into the realm that what's it? Who's that player that plays for Spurs? The English one.
No, not Dyer. Not going there, mate.
Oh no. There's a centre mid.
Not Harry Winks.
No. Oh, what's his name? He came in this season. He played. I think he played for Norwich last season.
Billy Gilmore.
No. I'm gonna find him.
You know the Skip?
Skip.
No, mate. They're not the same. They're not the same, mate.
No, I'm saying that's the realm because a lot of Spurs fans are saying that he's the most. He's before Bentancur came in. He's the most gifted midfielder. Blah blah blah.
You see,
he's the
only reason Bentancur's at Spurs is Juventus have totally cocked up their finances. They've got 19 central midfielders, and he's the guy that the club came with the money. Otherwise, he'd be starting in their centre midfield every single week. I'm just his wild card, and you've dismissed it, so it's cool. That's fine. He's gone.
Wild card, no. One Spurs player in this team, just one. No. I think KDB has to be there, so that's an obvious one. At number 10.
Does he have to be though?
Yes, he can.
He's been fantastic for the second half of the season. He's one of the reasons that he's the main reason that Manchester City have a title on their hand.
But it's the second half of the season.
He scored 4 goals in one game.
I don't know how I feel about this.
4 goals in one game, and he dragged.
Wait, why can't I hear you guys? Sorry, I can't hear you guys. I'm gonna get out. Hold on 1 second. I'll come back. So what's going on?
It's been a nightmare for our audio. Just an absolute nightmare for our audio. But yeah, 4 goals in one game. That was against Leeds, I believe it was, right?
Yeah, he was different class, mate.
Yeah, so you can't. He's also one player of the season. Oh, not our player of the season, but he was a contender. So I think you can't dismiss KDB.
Is it a no-brainer of no-brainers?
Absolutely.
I don't know, man. Just for me, it's the case of
who's better, Koto? Give me 2 that are better. Then that might be an easier way to do this.
What, this season? Let's play the whole season.
For me, conversation.
I said Declan Rice already. Bernardo Silva, I think, had a better season than him. Personally, I think Bernardo Silva's had a season as well. I'll put Fabinho. Well, we're not just saying that advanced. Fabinho's had a better season than him as well. This is. Are we going by because of the way I put the 4-3-3? Because if I do it like this,
share the screen, bro.
Oh, sorry, my bad. There we go. Share. Bang. If I do the midfield like this, then we're like, okay, we're talking about whole season, right? And it's like Reece James, for example, when I mentioned him, I couldn't go further with him because he had a great first half of the season, but he had the 3 months out. So I'm like, Bernardo Silva, I'm happy to put in. Rodri, I'm good to put in. Fabinho, Rice, even Ruben Neves to an extent, happy to put guys, someone like that in. But KDB from February to May, I don't know if I can go sign that.
Could we have a wild card? Joe Linton, maybe?
Wow, I thought Benson Cole was a stretch. I can't get on with that. I can't get on with that one.
Fantastic for Newcastle, unlike Bentancur.
See, Newcastle, right? Were they that bad, or they just managed that badly, and then they brought in? You look at the players that signed. Bruno Guimaraes is a quality player.
Yeah.
Chris Wood didn't do too much. Kieran Trippier got injured. So really, it's come down to one man to make a difference, and I don't think that's possible. I just think they've been better set up with the players they've got. And if you look at the bottom end of the table, it's been absolutely dreadful, hasn't it? You've not got a lot to be better than to save yourself from relegation, to be fair, have you?
Yeah.
We all know how bad Everton were, and Frank Lampard gets to go back to Goodison next year, not to question the sport. So, yeah. they were poor and they didn't get relegated. So, I can't get on side with Joe Linton. Do you know what? You could put Fabinho and Rice in there, and you probably wouldn't be far away from the reality of it.
Is that something that's okay with you, Kojo?
I mean, I'm happy. So except Fabinho and Rice. So if we this straight midfield 3, I could put Rice in there, no?
Yeah.
All right. Declan Rice makes it.
I can't believe we're leaving Kevin De Bruyne out of a team of the season. We might not, though. There's a false 9 position, isn't there?
But democracy doesn't work for Kojo.
Come on, but we got how many players we got? We got 3 City, 4 Liverpool. I'm trying to add a bit of something else into it,
Fam, if everybody wasn't so inconsistent, then maybe we could add to it. But everybody was inconsistent as hell. Even Declan Rice was inconsistent in the league.
Well said. Well said.
KD, we can sit at home, man. He's one player of the year. He's okay. He can miss out the 3 midfield award. God. Okay. All right. Front 3. Now, I'm assuming Son is definitely making this.
Yeah, it's Son for me. I think Mane has a good shout because he's been absolutely fantastic. And at the very beginning of the season, there were a whole bunch of fans saying that this man was finished. And I was looking at this thinking, do you know who that man is?
Don't be looking at me. Don't be looking at me. Wasn't me.
Okay. Mane can make it because Mane's been fantastic this year. We can put Son on the right. I'm not mad at that as an option. Because the only other right wing I can think of that's had a fantastic season, but it'll be half season, is Kulusevski because of his impact.
Salah?
Who?
Salah.
Oh, Sugar, top goal scorer, top assist.
Okay, right. Stop. That's it. Done.
Completely forgot about him, Wow.
No.
I don't know.
How did you forget about Salah?
No, because I remember watching about the season, and Steve said the second half he sort of a little bit, but nah.
Did you see that first half?
Oh, it was insane. It was absolutely insane. All right, then that's that too. Sorted. Now the striker or the false 9, what are we doing here?
We should leave it empty for Haaland next season. Use it as a placeholder.
That's going to be really interesting to see how that unfolds, to be fair. Because they're not going to be able to do what they do now.
No.
Be interesting.
But I mean, what they're doing now isn't good. Bringing them success in the competition to their owners. So they got to switch it up somehow. And I don't think they're going to lose that many points with Haaland in the team as well. So they're going to be successful.
The only thing I'd say is you have to try more speculative balls, which don't necessarily keep them the ball as much as they do now, and they kind of strangle you to death with possession football. And if you're playing balls over the top or around the corner for him and it gets red, it's just interesting to see how it works out. It changes their whole philosophy of how they play, and be interesting to see how they do it. I guess we just nominate people and then don't we here, guys, and see where we go with it.
Okay, so Salah and Son were the top goal scorers. They're already in there. In terms of Premier League strikers that got goals, Vardy, Ronaldo, Kane from about January. Who else?
Sadio Mane has been playing number 9 for Liverpool for months.
He has been.
He has. Luis Diaz
Ivan Toney
is an impact
as well.
Who's that?
He's got 21 goals this season as well. AFCON World Cup qualification through the centre of Senegal's front line. And if we win on Saturday night, world football seems to think he's got more than a fair share of shout of winning the Ballon d'Or because of his season. So,
yeah.
Look at what he would have won. 3 trophies, AFCON, and took Senegal.
I mean, everybody's touting the Benzema line, but Mane
be between the two.
If he ends up winning the Champions League,
could do. Yeah, I mean, Premier League alone, he's been impactful. I think when Salah's got, I won't say goals dried up, he's got enough goals for the season as it is. But when he wasn't scoring as much as he usually does, Mane stepped up to the plate and then more goals as well, which he really does anyway. But he added more, especially when you consider how Luis Diaz started his Liverpool career. People were thinking that that's an immediate threat to Mane. Mane's pretty much just said, no, he isn't. He'll play with me, but he's not going to be the guy to take over. Now, obviously, we're hearing that he might be leaving, wherever that is. That's another discussion for another time. But he's had a fantastic season. It's weird that Vardy has scored like 12 or 13 Premier League goals despite not really playing much this year.
he scored 15.
Is it 15? I'm so sorry.
I can't recall one of them. I don't know how he scored him. I don't know who he scored him against, but he scored him.
Can you genuinely put Vardy in the conversation? Can you though?
No, I'm not. I don't think I can.
No, we're not doing that. But it's just surprising that he's got 15 goals this season. I haven't seen him.
And if you're talking false nine, KO, shut your ears. Talking false nine, you know what I'm going to say.
Who?
Well, Son's got 23 goals because Harry Kane's been loading the gun for him, mate.
Yeah, Kane after November started becoming a monster again, and his creativity, the way he was passing the ball, my goodness gracious me.
Can we look past Cristiano Ronaldo? I mean, obviously, if you're a Manchester United fan, because he brings the team down despite scoring 18 goals in the Premier League and saving you from even more embarrassment this season.
Can I just say this here? For the fans, the Man United fans that say, and Jimmy Carragher, who keeps saying that Ronaldo is a problem and all that rubbish. I hope they seem to understand that Man United are just a problem in itself. It's like, for example, the goalkeeper situation. De Gea can't pass the ball well as Ederson, Alisson, Neuer are not even near Neuer's level whatsoever. Not even near Pepe back in the day, right? Not even close.
He can't pass it better than a championship goalkeeper.
No, he can't pass it. But the issue with United is they talk about it as if he has options to pass to teammates who will make something happen. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, he can't pass the ball out, but who is he passing the ball to? Players that don't do much with the ball anyway. So, we're not keeping possession. He's not denying us playing a different style of football because we haven't played the style of football when we replaced him as well with Henderson in goal. Nothing changed. So when they bring the argument of Ronaldo and they say Ronaldo's a problem, I'm like, well, United have been screaming for a striker. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, when he was there, was saying, I want a striker eventually. You're giving one of the best goal scorers ever. And he's done his job, and the rest of you have still done niche. He's not a problem. Because last season, you were a problem. Season before that, you were a problem too. So if he's done his job, in a poor team, he scored, 18 Premier League goals? He is a shout.
Yeah, he is in the conversation. He is, yeah.
Now, has he had a better season than Kane?
No.
Overall, I think he has.
Ooh.
As a package deal, he's been way more consistent than Harry Kane throughout the entire season as well. Harry Kane's been fantastic.
Difficult one, because Harry Kane's turn of form has propelled Tottenham into the Champions League.
Yeah.
But for West Ham dropping the ball on the last day of the season, Ronaldo would be in a conference, but but that's not down to him. That's down to, like Kojo says, a bigger collective problem. I think we just need to narrow it down to some names and go with it. But I'm putting Sadio up. I'm putting Sadio up there for me. Anyway, that would be my nomination.
So Sadio Mane, you're saying?
Now, even though I do like Ronaldo is deserving. I think Mane as an entire season, as an entire package, has been fantastic for Liverpool. So it will be Mane for me.
Democracy, isn't it? All right, cool.
What, out of interest, what would you have said, Kojo?
You would have said Kane because he supports Tottenham.
No, goodness gracious me. Just again. I'll start between Kane and Ronaldo, just because Ronaldo was behind Son and Salah. So if you're talking about goals alone, as a striker, he's done his job. But Kane from November, I know that's missing August, so 3 months of the season, but that turn of form, even if he's not scoring, he's so impactful. Is insane, but at the same time, Kulusevski and Benson coming in was a huge help for that team as well. And obviously Romero was a shout. He had a great year. I'm calm with Mane, but if it's not him, I would have put him out.
Cool. Let's do 1 Mane.
Mane is.
Yeah, United fan in there or player in there.
What's that?
You just had to put a Manchester United player in there.
Well, I don't have much to put my United players in these days. So if I want to have one, I will fight very hard for it. Because he's the only guy I can talk about in that team, if I'm being honest. So, yeah. But that's
What do we got? Go on then, read it out.
Oh. There's no Conor Gallagher. Is that a shout?
Where? In that midfield three. At the tip of that midfield three, so make it a sort of a 4-2-1-2-1 almost.
Like a diamond, yeah.
Is he better than the 3 names that are on there? Would he be better than the guy that we ruled out, which I still can't believe in, Kevin De Bruyne? Probably not.
I know, right?
I can't get my head around that, by the way. I can't believe we've done that.
Big man, honestly. Change Bernardo Silva and put KDB down. I'm sorry.
It's not. It's Rice. It's Rice that's got to go.
Why does Rice have to go anywhere?
because of the 4, he's the fourth best player.
We'll do this.
No. You got to make a decision, Kojo.
Well, I feel like you guys. I think both of you put KDB in there, so we'll just see democracy. We run that.
Honestly, I'd be more than happy to get rid of Bernardo.
For who?
He's been City's best midfielder this season.
Who you putting Bernardo? Who you replacing Bernardo with? If
not,
right, I'd say Rice, but we're not. No, we're not.
Okay. All right, Kojo, would you pick Rice in a slightly more advanced position over Bernardo Silva? Because I wouldn't.
Oh hell no.
There's the answer.
Hell no.
Yeah.
At least KDB's in. A big run. No West Ham players.
Bowen, to be fair, has had a good year though. Let's be fair to him. He's had a very good year. He had a very good year, to be fair to him.
I think Gomeres has had a decent half season as well.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he's had a good shout out. Kojo named him as an honourable shout out, didn't you?
Yeah, because Kale said what? No Bruno Fernandes, and I was like, well, he's not right now. He's not the best Bruno in the division. So
There we go.
you know, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Oh, he's come with all the West Ham players.
I know, right? Big Ron, you sure you support United?
Craig
Which United do you support, Big Ron?
All right, so team of the year is as follows: Alisson in goal, Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back, now Cancelo left back, Joel Matip and Virgil van Dijk, Rodrigo at the defensive midfield position. In front of him are Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva. Heung-min Son, our player of the year, on the left, Mo Salah on the right, and Sadio Mane as striker, false nine, however you want to play him.
What a team that is! What a team that is, by the way.
That is problematic. That's a very troublesome team.
Yeah, they'd absolutely ruin the rest of the league if you put them lot together, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Luckily for me,
That's why we do team of the season.
we ain't ever gonna see that.
No, thankfully.
Thank goodness for that. All right, now are we doing a quick preview of the Champions League final?
Why not?
Why not, Steve? How are you feeling about tomorrow? First, I just want to ask you more than anything. How are you feeling?
When they put City out, I was really confident. The longer we go into the week, the more the nerves are settling in because it's. I grew up with I've seen all of the Liverpool 9 previous Champions League finals, and for me, it's what I grew up on. I mean, in '84 we won it, and we all came out of the houses in Liverpool into the streets and had a street party, and those nights are indelibly marked on you, and you never forget them. So for me, the Champions League is a very special place for me. Thanks, Big Ron.
So, you know what, Big Ron? Next one we'll do is a not so obvious team of the season. We'll make that fair for you. We have had some shouts, but we got to call a spade a spade. These men are the standouts.
Exactly.
But, yeah.
Hopefully for that one, our audio is fixed. It's really bothering me, man.
I think going into the game itself, Liverpool need to learn from both Chelsea and City that had they had their shooting boots on the night, they could have gone in at half time in the first leg, 5-0 up, and it would have been over. Both of them were frivolous in front of goal, missed chances they should have taken. If we do that, we take the chances, we have a possibility of taking the game away from them because they grow into games. If it stays 0-0 or 1-0 for a long period of time, they grow in confidence as they did against City, and then they become dangerous because, like Liverpool, they think they've got a divine right to do well in this competition. 13 titles will tell you that. Cheers, Ron. I was really confident, mate, but I'm a little bit more concerned now because they will target us in the same way they did in the quarter-final the year before by switching the ball from right to left into our right-back's position and trying to get in round the back of us. So there's an argument to play for Konate for extra pace. But there's a stronger argument for me to play Joel Matip because of his reading of the game and his experience as a central defender alongside Van Dijk. And Henderson has got such a big job on Saturday in that right centre midfield pocket, covering Trent, because we will need to push Vinicius back. And I don't think they're brave enough to leave him up. I think if Trent gets forward and supports Salah, Vinicius could watch the game from where he is and not really be a feature. So there's loads of little permutations that worry me. But I think we need to get after them early doors and try and... We can blow anybody away when we're on form. And they give up chances, but they do grow into games. That's my concern, that they could be allowed to grow into the game. And with that pace from Vinicius, they're always going to be a counter-attacking option, aren't they?
Well, Steve is giving a bit of a shout to Benzema. on Real Madrid's case, because obviously you're talking about Liverpool's threats and where they can expose Real Madrid. I think on the Real Madrid side, I think firstly they are written off quite a bit because they've lost the two centre backs that were part of an absolutely crazy level of success. That being Ramos and Varane. Obviously, Ramos is now enjoying life in Paris, not really playing too tough. Rafael Varane has caught Man United syndrome. But they have a knack of just knowing how to win games. And Benzema has sort of helped Vinicius sort of like just improve and get his act together in a sense of, he just took him from very raw to now showing his talent. And it's obviously not the finished product, but you can see now that his game's elevating. His numbers have improved this year. They got the threat of Rodrigo off the bench. And the midfield three, as honestly, still experienced. And I think one worry if you're a Madrid fan is Liverpool midfield has the engine to run through them, but also now with Thiago, you have added quality on top to break through the lines, to create chances. And then Militao is not the most solid defender. Alaba is great, but you need two centre backs to be fantastic together. Nacho's a bit of a liability here and there. Carvajal is playing the new very, very light Pepe role, very aggressive, with fouls, tackle very hard, and then acts if he's injured as well. Ferland Mendy has the very difficult job of taking over Marcelo. And with Liverpool having not only Salah and Mane, but now Diaz and Jota as goal threats as well, it's a problem. The one player that I feel could be a game changer, because I think he's going to come off the bench for Real Madrid, is Camavinga. Mm-hmm. Despite Spain being so young, he plays with maturity that is quite frankly scary to watch. His quality, he calms them down. Every time he's come off the bench in the Champions League anyway, he's helped Madrid improve. So that's also a threat on their side as well. I think it's going to be an interesting game. I think the key men are going to be obviously Benzema. And for Liverpool, it's difficult because they've got so many key men. I think it might be Andy Robertson.
The man I almost put in my team of the season thing there before,
I think you could have a lot of fun against Carvajal. I think Carvajal's a weak spot. More than Ferland Mendy.
Then what we need to do is overload that left-hand side, have a triangle of Diaz, Robertson, and Thiago. That spells trouble, mate.
Yeah. I know they're going to try and get Vinicius one-on-one with Trent as well. So that's going to be interesting, that one as well.
So Liverpool for me will go Alisson in goal, Trent, Robbo, Van Dijk. They'll go with Matip over Konate for experience. Because Konate gets drawn into the ball too much. Thiago is fully trained today, opened up the legs and done all full session with the team. So it will be Fabinho, Henderson, and Thiago, and then the front three, I firmly believe, will be Diaz, Sadio through the middle, and Mo Salah on the right. And then at the end of the game, the next couple of days, I think Sadio is going to announce he's off to Bayern Munich.
I think so too.
Is that 30 million a legitimate thing?
Yeah, it's what we paid for Thiago.
I know, absolutely, but for a player that's had such an impact and his quality, and he's still in his prime years, 30 million just feels like it's a steal.
He tried to leave in 2018. He tried to leave in 2020. He wanted a fresh challenge. He's tried twice before. When he comes out and says, I'll give you the news you want, the news you all want to hear, I don't think he's necessarily saying, I'll give you the news that I'm going to re-sign for Liverpool. I think he's going to give you the news that he wants a different challenge. There's a possibility that we run Mo Salah's contract down if he wants to do that and he leaves on a free, 6 months short of his 32nd birthday. That's a questionable business decision by the club. I genuinely believe if Mane decides he wants a new challenge, he'll be put on the transfer market in the summer, because I think think there's a possibility the club have already decided that between Carvalho, Diaz, and Jota, we're well covered in Mane's position anyway. We probably don't need to go out and buy anybody else. I would like to see us buy Darwin Núñez if we're gonna have that kind of money on the books.
100 million Benfica won apparently.
They're not getting that.
Yeah.
Same Monopoly. He looks quality. He's got everything you would want in a 9. And we are going to have to address the 9 problem at some point because Sadio's done it really well. Bobby is probably the wrong side of that. Yeah, but I agree with Ron. But we played with Naby Keita as a defensive midfielder, Nat Phillips and Reece Williams alongside Trent. And Trent got all the stick for the goal, but his centre-back sold him out that night. So I find that difficult to pin the Real Madrid loss or any of that blame on Trent. We took Keita off after 35 minutes of the first half because he just did not get the game plan and did not do anything that we were asked him to do. And we surrendered the tie in that 35 minutes, never mind that particular game. So I think it's interesting to see how we approach this. We're playing with a high line, so Vinicius will have plenty of opportunity because if you play Benzema in, both Robertson and Van Dijk will catch him.
Yeah.
You don't want to run 40 yards clean through to goal because you'll just get swallowed up, mate. So they'll be you watch, their tactic will be to switch. They'll play the ball out to Carvajal, it'll come inside to Cruz and Modric, and they'll be switching the ball all game. But if I know that, so do Liverpool.
I mean, I think if I was to mention a player that's probably going to have a game of his life, I think Modric's going to have the final game of his life. I think one of the games of his career, because he's going to be very important in that final, as he's been very important in them winning the league title, in them advancing to the final itself. So I believe he's the one that's going to set off Rodrigo. He's the one to set off Vinicius, and Benzema's movement is probably what's going to catch, if it can catch Van Dijk off. I think he'll target Matip rather than Van Dijk. Even though Matip has had a better season, I still think he is out of the weak link. So that's who's going to have to be in his A game, and I honestly believe Modric will if they do go on to win it, he'll be the man of the match that game.
It's not the mismatch that lots of people are painting it as. You write Real Madrid off at your peril. They are La Liga champions. They have all the names that you've just mentioned. You know, Modric, Cruz, Casemiro. That midfield three would get in most of the teams in world football, even at the age that Modric is. He's still a talent, and he's just signed a new contract. So you know he's got a couple more years at Real Madrid. For me, it depends which Liverpool turn up. If they turn up and we play cat and mouse and see what they've got to offer and try and counter that doesn't suit us. If we turn up aggressive, in your face, fast, furious, the way we played in the first half of the FA Cup semi-final against Manchester City, there's not a team in the land that keeps us out.
Do you think it's not really added pressure? There is something in the back of the mind that a lot of these players want revenge for what happened. How many years ago was it? 3 years ago?
Yeah. I don't think Klopp's addressed this. He doesn't like the word revenge. And when you go into games looking for revenge, the occasion gets to you and you don't execute your game plan and then you don't do what you're supposed to do. They'll be very, very aware of that. Liverpool have something to prove to themselves more than they do to Real Madrid about going head-to-head with that opponent. So I don't think that's a word that's been used at all in training. Mo Salah is very, very motivated for this game. Very motivated because he feels, he missed out on an hour of one of the best nights of a footballer's career. So I expect Mo Salah to turn up. I do genuinely, again, to sort of say the same thing, I do genuinely believe if we start like a house on fire and we press and we win the ball back really, really high up the pitch, then there will be opportunities. And it's just whether we take them. 4 games against Chelsea and and City, they gave a lot of chances up. I just referenced that point Ron made. Ron, Liverpool fans on Twitter are not representative of the guys who go to the game, mate. They're really not. So please don't judge us on some of the weapons that turn up on Twitter week in, week out. That's not what Liverpool fans are about. That's a hive of anxiety and people who move in their own similar circles. So, no, that's not us, mate. That's Twitter. Put that one to bed.
But yeah, you were speaking about the revenge, then Klopp not liking that word.
They won't see it as it's not the revenge tour. The revenge we got, the closure we got was winning it the following season. It was like, had we not beaten Spurs, we would always feel hard done to, because if VAR had done its job, or VAR done its job properly, or the way that we analyse football was done properly, Sergio Ramos has a problem for what he did to Loris Karius, because he concussed him, basically. Yeah. You can't do that, but he got away with it. And Sergio Ramos has been getting away with the dark arts the whole of his career, and that's just the way he is. He knew what he was doing when he pulled Salah down as well. He knew very well what he was doing. Had we not beaten Spurs, that would be a very, very big chip on our shoulder right now that we need to deal with, and it would be dangerous to go into a game feeling like we owe you. We don't owe them anything. We owe it to ourselves and the fans. There's a bus thing planned for the next day. We'd like nothing more than to have the European Cup on that. And for some of these players, 31, 32, Henderson will play less games as the seasons roll by, probably do a lot more covering in the 6 rather than playing as the 8 on the right-hand side, because he's 31 and a half, nearly 32. Had a horrendous injury last season. He did well to come back from. Things will change at Liverpool in the next 12 months in terms of some of the bodies. Great opportunity for Henderson to be only the second Liverpool captain to lift 2 European Cups after Emma Hughes. So, legacy building, not going after revenge. That's the way I see it. I just don't think Klopp will allow them to go there.
I think on that note, we shall finish the podcast. There we go. Yeah, on that note, we shall definitely finish the podcast. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys for listening. Steve, as always, where can they find you, sir? Thank you for joining.
Get me at my socials. There. 3 weeks in a row, I've got that bit right. I'm proud of myself. I was going the wrong arm. And then if you're really interested in Liverpool, I'm still contributing to Redmen through the close season. We've got a review of defenders, midfielders and forwards in the club coming up on Wednesday in 3 separate shows, which I'm delighted to be involved in. And then through the season, we'll do transfer roundups and stuff like that, pre-season and all of that good stuff. And I'm hoping to be featuring there next season as well. So that will be cool.
Nice.
Gojo, where can they find us?
Firstly, thank you to everyone who's watched. In the comments, especially King Big Ron. So follow us here on YouTube, Free for Podcast, all the audios like Spotify, SoundCloud, and Apple Podcasts, Free Midfield, and of course the socials: Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. 3 Midfields.
Next week we'll have better mixes. Good night.
What are we saying? Two podcasts, Monday and Friday.
Was that
Monday and Friday?
I'm good.
Champions League and another not so obvious season.
Well, there you go. That's next week.
All right.
Good night.
Cool.